Have you ever seen a single tweet just explode online and start a massive international debate? Well, that's exactly what happened here. A Grammy nomination, a claim of making history, and suddenly everyone was arguing about music history, genres, and what it even means to be the first. It's a wild story that tells you so much about modern fandom and the messy world of music awards, so let's get into it.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the tweet that kicked this whole thing off, then get into the correction that came flying in almost immediately. We'll break down the super technical Grammy rule at the heart of the argument, see how the debate just kept growing to include other huge artists, and then finally, we'll try to figure out what all this fighting over the word first really tells us about music today.
Okay, so it all started with what should have been a really simple, happy moment. A huge achievement for a member of one of the biggest girl groups on the entire planet.
So picture this, November 7th, 2025. The big pop culture account Popbase sends this tweet out congratulating Rosé from BLACKPINK, and it just blows up. Everyone's celebrating this huge history-making moment. But almost as fast as it went viral, the fact checkers came out in full force. And this is where the spark really caught fire, because a whole bunch of music fans, especially folks who know their classical music, were like, hold on a minute. They immediately brought up another artist who they were pretty sure already held that title, and from decades ago. So here it is, the two sides of the argument laid out plain and simple. On one side, you have the claim that Rosé is the first Korean soloist to ever get a nomination. But on the other, you have the counterclaim that the legendary soprano Jo Sumi was not only the first Korean solo singer nominated, she actually won her Grammy all the way back in 1993. And this wasn't just some rumor. People were pulling up the receipts, pointing to the official Grammy records. Jo Sumi's win for her part in Richard Strauss's Die Frau ohne Schatten. So you'd think, okay, case closed, right? Simple mistake. But no, not even close. The debate was really just getting warmed up. Because the people defending that original tweet came back with a really specific, really technical point that has everything to do with how the Grammys actually categorize their awards. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty. You see, here's the crucial difference they pointed out. A soloist nomination is for one person's performance, period. But an ensemble nomination, like for Best Opera Recording, is given to the whole team, the conductors, the main singers, the producers. So while Jo Sumi was a key part of that win, the award itself recognized the group effort, not just her as an individual. And this tweet from Kat Walcott just sums up that side of the argument perfectly. They're saying, look, what Jo Sumi did was absolutely historic and amazing, no question. But technically, it was an ensemble win. And because of that, you could still argue that Rosé's nomination was the first for a Korean artist in a category that was strictly solo. That tiny little detail changes everything. But you know how the internet works. The conversation didn't stop there. This whole thing kind of cracked open a much bigger can of worms, a debate that had been simmering for a while, and it pulled in another K-pop titan, BTS. All of a sudden, the conversation totally pivoted. People started questioning years of headlines about BTS's own Grammy journey. Wait a second, if Jo Sumi won way back in '93, then how could BTS have been the first Korean act to get a nomination? Shouldn't the headlines have always said the first K-pop act? This just spiraled into accusations that fan bases and even companies had been pushing a simpler and maybe not totally accurate story for years. This tweet really captures the frustration that a lot of people were feeling. It's this sense that in the huge media storm around BTS's rise, the accomplishments of other Korean artists, especially those outside of K-pop, got totally overlooked. It turned into this messy cross-fandom fight about history and who really paved the way. So let's zoom out. What does this super intense, layered debate actually tell us? Well, it's about way more than just one nomination. It's really about fandom, how we define genres, and who gets to write the history books. Looking at it on a timeline really helps put it all in perspective. You've got Jo Sumi's Landmark Ensemble win in 1993, then decades later, BTS has their huge breakthrough as the first K-pop group to get a nom. And then, in 2025, Rosé's nomination forces everyone to look back and re-examine all these firsts with a magnifying glass. Every single one of these is a historic moment, but it's the definition of that history that's up for debate. At the end of the day, what we're really seeing here is a kind of culture clash. It's the massive global force of K-pop bumping up against the long-established world of classical music. And man, does it show how incredibly passionate fans are about protecting their faves' legacies, and how every single word, soloist, Korean act, K-pop act, carries so much weight in these online battles.
And I guess that leaves us with this one big question. In this new age of music where everything is global and genres are blending together more than ever, who actually gets to decide what making history looks like? Is it the fans? The media? The award shows themselves? There is no easy answer, and this whole debate is just a perfect snapshot of that question playing out for the whole world to see.